Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Jackie and let's get started. For DIY number 1, I'm taking this cute little sign from the thrift store. It has a little sawtooth hanger and I actually got it half price. And then this little piece of wood that was in our storage room, this wire rack from the Dollar Tree, and some tumbling tower blocks, a chalkboard from the Dollar Tree, and a little palette from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to go in with some Waverly chalk paint in the color white and paint everything. And now I'm just going to take some of the Waverly antique wax and I just want to give it a really light brushing like I did with my first project. So just real lightly with my chippy brush, just brush it, give it a little bit of definition, a little bit of depth. And I'll do this to both of them. And now I'm going to hot glue these two pieces together, and this will be just fine because the pieces are pretty light. And so now I'm going to take this little palette and I'm going to hot glue 2 tumbling tower blocks on the bottom, but I'm going to double them. So you'll see here that it'll be 4 total on the bottom, and then I'll add 2 on each side. And this will form a cute little pocket that will go on the top corner of my little message center. And so this little pocket will hold mail or notes or coupons or recipes or what have you. So I'm just going to add 2 here, 2 there, and now just add some hot glue. And again, hot glue is sufficient because whatever I put in this little pocket, it's not going to be heavy. It's just going to be, you know, some kind of paper. And my little chalkboard will go on the right side, and again I'll just add some hot glue and adhere that way. And now I'm taking some of these craft sticks, these jumbo ones from Walmart, and I'm going to cut the rounded parts off of 2, and I'll leave 2 with the rounded parts. Okay, so now I'm taking these 4 jumbo craft sticks and I'm going to go in with some of the Waverly antique wax, and just like this, they're nice and ready and dry. And so now I'm just going to add a bead of hot glue on the top of the chalkboard and add one of the ones with the rounded ends, and the same with the bottom, add one of them with the rounded ends, and then add a bead of glue on the side and add one with the cut end, and the same on the other side. And now my little chalkboard is nicely framed, looking really cute, and I don't show it, but I did do a little bit of a dry brush with some of the plaster paint. And here I used my Cricut to cut out this little vinyl out of the Cricut design space, so it's available there, and it just says home, and I thought that was just perfect for a little added touch. And once I get that on there, now it's time to add my wire rack. And so this was tricky, so the best way I found was to use some E6000, and I got 2 of the little tumbling tower blocks, and they fit perfectly all nestled in that little area where the screw is supposed to go. So E6000 and hot glue, and I'll just press it in there. It fits perfectly, guys. It fits perfectly. And so now I'll add some more E6000 and some more hot glue, and I'll press this onto my thin board right here. So now I'll lay it flat, and now I'll go in with a baby wipe to remove any excess glue because I wasn't sure where it was going to hit it at, so I had added quite a bit of both glues. So here I'm trying to add a little thumbtack in the holes so the holes won't look so empty and undone or unfinished. But I wasn't liking that either after I did that, but I left it there, and instead I decided to go in with some of this beautiful ribbon, this burlap ribbon that came from Walmart, and I really like it because it's got the fringe ends on both sides. So all I did here was cover up all that metal piece on the top, and I just wrapped this around the board, and I don't show it, but I did hot glue the 2 sides to the back. So here they're hot glued, and here I'm just adding an extra glue in the center, and I'm adding a couple little tiny sprigs of boxwood just to give it that little bit of cuteness that we all love. And I am done. I am loving this cute little message center, and this is how it looks, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 2, taking 2 of these wooden little houses from the Dollar Tree, and I removed all of those annoying pieces. It was a process, and I also sanded them down. And I'm also using 2 of these rectangular plaques and one of these arrows. This particular arrow is pretty long and I don't need the whole length of it. So I'm going to add my little houses and my little rectangular plaques to the sides to form my little toolbox. And I want to see how much of the arrow I'm going to need. So I'm just going to take a Sharpie to mark off where I'm going to have to score it to cut it. And so that's how I'm going to cut it. And it's pretty thin balsa wood, so it'll cut pretty easily with some good effort. And so you just score it until it just pops off. And so I'm not going to use the little arrow part, put that away. Now just go in with some sandpaper to smoothen off any rough edges. And you're probably wondering how come I didn't use one of those little planks. It's because the arrow is a little bit longer and wider. So this will help make my toolbox shaped a little bit better. And so here I'm taking this wooden dowel from the Dollar Tree and my miter shears and cutting it to size. And I'm going to go in with my Waverly antique wax and cover everything with this wax like this. So now once everything is nice and dry, I created this little vinyl with my Cricut. And there's one thing about the antique wax, you have to make sure it's nice and dry before you add any vinyl, or you might have issues. And so you see here, it's giving me a little bit of issues, but that's okay. I'm patient. And just like that, it's on there. Beautiful. And again, I don't show it, but I did go in with Mod Podge at the end. And so here I'm using the arrow part as my base, and I'm going to do the same process as I did with my boxes earlier. Add some wood glue, add a few beads of hot glue, and place it on there. And add some hot glue on the inside to help reinforce it. And I'll do the same thing to the opposite side. Some wood glue and a few beads of, or a couple dabs of hot glue. And then reinforce the inside. And now I'm ready for my little houses to go on the ends. And I'll do the same thing. This one, well, this time I did hot glue first. Should have done the wood glue first, but that's okay. Still works out because I work fast. So now here, wood glue and hot glue. And so I place that on there. And now all I have to do is reinforce all the sides, all the corners. So I'll add some hot glue. And this is not going to be a functioning toolbox for tools. This is just going to be in the kitchen for some handy snacks. So snacks for the kiddos, for the grandkids. And here's my wooden dowel. I'm just going to hot glue that in place. And this Gorilla Glue, hot glue is really good. So I'll show you in a minute. How well it works. And I didn't add a 6000 to that portion. And so now just to give it the effect that it's going through the sides, I cut a couple little pieces of dowels and I just glue that to the outsides. Give it that illusion. And look at that, so cute. And look, I'm gonna carry it. Da 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 da. What do you guys think? And this is how it looks, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 3. And this is super easy. I'm just taking one of these larger size collapsible storage bins from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to paint it with some acrylic paint. And then I'm going to go in with some Mod Podge and some of the tissue paper. And it's just as simple as that. And once the Mod Podge is dry, just take a really sharp X-Acto knife or utility knife and cut out the little piece of tissue paper that is over the top of the handle. So we need the handle exposed. So just kind of slice it a little bit and just take your time and get it nice and cut. And once you get that cut, then you're going to add some more Mod Podge to the underneath of the handle, and you're going to fold in that piece down underneath the handle, if that makes sense. And just like this. And then just add the Mod Podge on top. I use the dishwasher for extra durability. And look how cute. And this is how it looks, and a closer look at the final reveal. DIY number 4. We're going to begin with 2 of these flower cutouts from the Dollar Tree. They're just called wood shapes, and it's the flower one. We're going to remove the tag, and we're going to cut off the twine up top. We're not going to need it at all. Remove those, and we're going to fill in the little hole with just some hot glue. So I'm going to put my silicone spatula on the back and just fill up the little hole with the hot glue until it's full, and then I just remove the excess with my fingers and remove the spatula, and then look, perfectly fill hole, because I'm going to paint it anyway. So now I'm taking 5 of these wooden dowels. They're 1/2 inch dowels, and then 2 of the flowers. Here I'm only showing 1, but yes, 2 of them. And so I'm going to go in with some of the Waverly chalk paint in the color white, or you can do whatever color you like. And I'm also taking this piece of wood, 9 inches by 7 inches. It's the wood base for the hinges. And now with the first flower, I'm going to create 4 pinholes that will match up with this 4-inch Lazy Susan hardware, and I'll have it all listed in my description box. And so all I'm going to do is just mark little holes, and I'm also going to create a bigger hole, a 1/2 inch hole for installing the hardware, and you'll see that a little bit later. So make the 4 little pinholes and then the big hole for installing the hardware. And now I'm going to mark off where the dowels are going to sit. And because this flower shape has 5 petals, I'm doing 5 dowels. And so all I'm doing is placing one of my ribbons and placing the dowel where it would fit. Lift up the ribbon, lift it out, and mark off the circle where I'll be placing this dowel. And so I'll do this to every single one of these little petals. Just put my dowel down, lift the ribbon out, and mark the circle where the dowel will sit, if that makes sense. And so I'll do that to every single petal. Just take your time and get it spaced right, because you want everything to look nice. So here's the review. So you're going to have 4 pinholes for the Lazy Susan hardware. You're going to have 1 1/2 inch hole for installing the hardware, and you're going to fill in the little hole that came with the product, and then these 5 circles for your dowels. Okay, so it'll look like this. So now for your second flower, you're going to line up this flower with the first flower, and you're going to cut out where you marked off for the dowels, and you're going to line it up with this little hole, so you know it's going to be correct. And if you see little cuts here and there, yeah, this balsa wood is not very good. Just retouch it with some paint. Okay, so here I went ahead and installed the Lazy Susan hardware with those 4 little pinholes and just some little screws, and I put nuts on the back, and I also created little pinholes where the dowels will go, because we're going to screw them in as well. And I'll show you real quick how we're going to use this hole later. And basically we're just going to place our screwdriver through this hole to screw in and secure the Lazy Susan to the other piece, to the wood piece. Okay, so look, it's going to look like this. And so here's the second petal, and see how they line up perfectly with the dowel holes. Okay, perfect. So it's going to look like this. So one with the holes, and the other one with pinholes, and one with 1/2 inch holes. And now we'll go ahead and secure the dowels onto the pinholes. And here I went ahead and did 4 of them, and they're just secured with a screw and a washer. So I'll show you the last one. So it's just a screw and a washer to help keep it in place. Put it through the hole just a tiny bit, like this, and then get your screwdriver ready, and place your dowel on the other side, and just start screwing it. And make sure to screw as straight as possible, because if you screw it in crooked, your dowel will be crooked. So the straighter you screw it in, the better it is. So just screw that in until it's nice and tight and secured. And this will be a nice strong dowel now. It'll hold as many ribbons as you like. Okay, so now this is ready to go. So now we're going to place this on this base here. So this is the base. And I didn't show this at the beginning, but you're also going to take the same lazy hardware that you have. You're not taking the second one, you're just taking the first one. And you're going to also mark off where the screws will go on this rectangular piece of wood. So you can just take another one if you forget and just mark it off like this. But no holes, just mark off where the screws will go in to secure it in place. Okay, so now that we have our 4 dots, we're going to place our little setup on top of this rectangle, and I'll show you what that big hole was for. This is where the big 1/2 inch hole comes to play. So you're going to line it up as best you can, and this might take a little bit of finagling, but you're going to line it up until you see the little hole, or the little spot that you made, the little dot, the little circle. So right here, see it? See it? It's all lined up? Okay, so now you're going to take your screwdriver and a screw, and you're just going to place it on and screw it in. That's it. You're just going to screw it in and secure it. Make sure you screw it tight. You may have to hold on to the flower with the dowels because it wants to spin with you as you're securing the screw onto the rectangular piece of wood. And so yeah, just hold on to it gently and tighten up the screw. And once that's nice and tight and flush with the rectangular piece, you're going to spin this or turn this flower a little bit, and you're going to line up the rest of the holes and do the same thing, same process. Put your screw in there and tighten it up. Once you get 2 screws secured on there, the rest is easy. It's those first 2 that are a little tricky. Okay, so now just spin it again until you find the next little circle, little dot, and there it is. And so see, this little hole, this little 1/2 inch hole is pretty handy, but it's just for the application of, or the installation of this whole piece, just to get them together. That's all it is for. After that, that hole is not even useful. You can cover it up with something, or you can leave it like that, or you could put a gem on it, or you know, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so now we're on our very last little hole, and so you just take your screw and place it on the circle that you marked and just press down gently because you're creating the hole with the screw, and just tighten it until it's nice and secured. And so now your Lazy Susan hardware is secured by both ends. So just finger tighten it. You don't have to use a drill or anything, but I guess you can if you want to. But I just decided to do it with a screwdriver. It's a little easier to show. Plus these dowels would probably be in the way, so I think a screwdriver is the best way to go with this. Okay, look, it's all done. Now we're ready to install it wherever you want. I'm going to install it on my bookcase. My bookcase is solid wood, so I've already installed the 2 hinges, and I just placed it right on the edge, making sure that it's going to clear the whole space. And so now it's just a matter of placing the whole setup onto the other side of the hinges, just like that. So I had to have hubby help me with that part. He had to hold it for me because it was just too heavy. And look, all I have to do now is add all my ribbon to it. And that's pretty much it, besides placing the other flower back on the other side. And I will say, if your bookcase or bookshelf is not solid wood, if it's particle board, just be careful with that because that's not as strong as solid wood. But other than that, it should work. And I want to show you real quick what you do if your ribbon is open and it just comes out. I like to use these little stick pins with the little gems and just place it on there to secure the ribbon in place. And if it's the kind of ribbon that you can't stick a pin in, then just a piece of tape would be just fine. So yeah, that's all it is. And look how cute. Oh my goodness, I love this little ribbon spinner that pulls out. And so here's the other piece of the flower, just line it with the dowels, and that's it. And this is how it looks, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 5, I'm going to begin with 2 of these wooden flowers from the Dollar Tree and 1 of these Lazy Susan turntables from Amazon and 10 of these crates from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to begin with the flowers, and I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue to fill in these holes. So I'm just placing my silicone spatula in the back and filling up the hole, and then pressing in any glue until they're all filled up. And it's just 2 holes, so it didn't take long. So now here they are, all nice and filled, ready to paint. And I'm going to go in with this Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint, give them a good coat. And now I'm going to adhere this Lazy Susan turntable from Amazon. I'll link everything in my Amazon storefront. I always have that link listed in my description box. And I'm going to go in with some of the E6000 and placing a nice bead of glue on each corner, and also a combination of the hot glue, but not mixed together, just separately. And then I'll flip this over and center it on my wood flower, and I'll repeat the process for the other flower. Just put a couple beads of glue of the E6000 and then some of the hot glue, but don't mix them. You'll defeat the purpose if you mix them. So here's the top one, and I just press it down and make sure it's nice and tight. And look at that, this whole thing turns now. And now I'm going to take one more of these wooden flowers, and I'm going to remove this sticker, of course, flip it over, and I'm going to place this lid that belongs to one of my plastic candy jars that I use for crafting, and I'm going to trace a circle in the center, and then I'm going to take this outside and cut off this centerpiece. So here it is, nice and ready, and I'll go in with the same white Adirondack chalk paint that I used earlier, and this will be the top of my little setup. So now I'm going to work on the crates, and I'm going to use my utility knife to cut these off, these sides. And if you've been following me for a while, you know I like to do this kind of thing. I like to cut balsa wood items and create other things. So I'm just going to carefully cut straight down, and if you have a sharp blade, it'll cut down pretty easily. And I do the same thing to all 10 of these crates. And just like this, in the magic of YouTube, they're done. So now here I'm going to place these pieces aside and not throw them away. I'll use them for something else in the future. And I'm going to join these two crates together. And you can definitely use wood glue for this, but I like to use the Elaine's Tacky Glue. I've always had very good results with it. So it's my glue of choice for just adhering these wood crates together, which I like to do pretty often. Okay, so here I'm going to place one on top of the other, join them together as best I can, and if they don't line up, if the lines don't line up perfectly, not to worry. These crates are not always made exactly the same. So here I'm just wiping off any excess glue, and I'm going to allow it to dry in this position, and I'll do the same thing to the rest of these crates until I have 5 towers like this. Now they're all nice and dry, and now I'm going to go in with my folk art chalk paint again in the white Adirondack color and give them a full paint job like this. And now I'm going to start assembling my paint holder. And here's my Lazy Susan working really nice. And here I'm just going to stage everything how I want it. So I'm going to place these towers where each petal is. So that's why there's 5 total. If the flower had another petal, I definitely would have tried to fit another one. Okay, so here I'm going to a different angle so you guys can see. And here I'm going to adhere them all with just some hot glue. It works well enough. And I'll adhere them all onto this wood flower until they're all nice and adhered. And if you notice that some of them are kind of leaning forward a little bit, and that's where the third flower comes in, that's going to go on top to keep everything nice and secure. And then the reason why there's a hole is so we can add some greenery or flowers or something to make the whole setup kind of pretty. So here I'm just going to continue to add some glue. Now all I have to do is adhere the third flower on the very top until it's all nice and set up. And look at that, it works perfectly. Now the reason why I decided to make this is to help hold all my chalk paste from Chalk Couture. That way it's easy accessible to me when I do my projects. But if you don't have chalk paste, you don't do Chalk Couture, no problem. I'll show you how you can adapt this for regular apple barrel paint. And all you need to do is add some slats like these, and you can fit regular paint. And here's how it looks, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 6, take 2 packs of these new pegboards from the Dollar Tree. They measure approximately 5 by 5 each square, and I'm just going to adhere them on top of each other, well, 2 on top of each other, and I'm going to use some E6000 for added durability and some hot glue for the instant hold. And I'll create 2 sets in this manner, and I'll secure them with some of these craft clamps, set them aside to set. Now in the meantime, I'm taking 2 of these flower shaped wood pieces from the Dollar Tree, And using my silicone spatula, I'm just going to fill in these holes with some hot glue because it doesn't really matter what's filling them. I'm going to paint them anyway, and I'm going to paint them with this folk art chalk paint in the color White Adirondack. And now I'm going to go in with one of these Lazy Susan hardware. Got this from Amazon, and it'll be linked in my description box in my Amazon storefront. And I'm going to add some E6000 and a little bit of hot glue right above it. And again, for the added security and the instant hold, and I'll place it right in the center. Beautiful. And I'll do the same thing with the other flower, a little bit E6000 and some hot glue right above it. And now I'll place the flower right on top, making sure to align where the two holes were. Now that that's set, and here are my little pegboards, I'm going to put them back to back, and I'm going to take some zip ties or cable ties, and I'm going to thread these through these little holes that are on the front. And I'm just going to not tighten them up, I'm just going to place them on there on each of these little areas in this manner. Just thread it through, and I get them all done, all four. Once I get them all done, then I'll go ahead and tighten them all up and get them nice and tight and snip off the excess with some scissors. And now I'm ready to assemble my little turntable. So here I'm just going to add some of the E6000 again and some more hot glue like this, and then I'm going to place it in the center as best I can and allow that to set. And look at that, fantastic. So now here I decided to add some of this pearl bling just because I didn't like the way the sides looked. So I'm just going to adhere this with some glue really quick. Just add some glue and place it down, and use my silicone spatula so I don't burn my fingers, because this pearl wrap has a lot of little holes, and yeah, you can easily burn yourself. Oh my goodness. Don't ask me how I know that. Okay, so here, then I'm just gonna go ahead and do the other side, the top, and I'll go take it to the other side. So the three sides. I don't do anything on the bottom, of course, it would just be too bumpy. So now here's the last piece, and snip off the excess just to give it a little bit of a embellishment, a little bit of a decor, a little bit of prettiness for the craft room. And so now I'm going to place this little shelf and some of these little hooks and brackets and things, and I'm going to use this for my Cricut tools and my Chalk Couture tools as well. So you'll see here, this is how it looks, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 7, I picked up this spool. It's like a spool top. I'm thinking that's what it was. It was at my local thrift store, and it was $2. You see here, it's about to come off. Anyway, it's pretty large, and we're about to cut this down and turn this into something spectacular and functional. Very useful. Okay, we're gonna get started. I'm gonna utilize this part here and cut this out. And we'll start from there. Okay, so this is my bookshelf, this is my wall, and this is the piece that I cut, and basically it's going to fit in between the wall and the bookcase. And so I'll cut maybe 3 or 4 more of these, I'll see, because I'm going to put them up from up here going all the way down to there. So I think maybe 3 or 4 more. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, so here are my 6 triangular shaped curved bottom pieces. I think in geometry they're called sectors, I think, but for YouTube purposes we'll just call them sections. I don't know. And Miss Pretty, what are you doing over here, girl? So anyway, we got these cut. They're all cut up, ready to go. So now we're going to drill some holes, and we're going to paint this up in a hunter green with the top one being white. Okay, so we're putting the top piece on. Hubby's helping me because I'm a shorty. So this top piece is just one of those sections or sectors with some 1x2s, I think, to frame it. And so he's going to put some screws in, and then that'll be the top part, the top support that's going to hold this whole setup. Alright, so that's the top support, and so now we're going to place the jute twine, the wire jute twine on there. Now we're going to staple the wire jute cord onto the 1x2s like this. Okay, now in the center, we're going to place one there. Reinforce it like this. Alright. So now we have two hanging. And now for the third one. Alright, that's good. So now we have three of these jute cords, these wire jute cords hanging down, and then we'll begin to add the other pieces to it. As you can see, we added the first section to this, and it's just stapled. We use a staple gun, staple on the back with the wire jute cord, the wire jute cord. So we did the three sides, and now we'll add the next section. Okay, so here now we have the third one, and we'll add a fourth one and a fifth one, and then I'll be back. It'll go down like here. Okay, so here it is, all ready to go, ready to receive its flowers. So we'll just add flowers like so, and we'll fill it up, and I'll be right back. And it's all full. Okay, so here it is, the really long stem flowers up there. They go on the top of the whole bookcase, and then these warm colored ones, purples and pinks and some reds, and then some yellows and some oranges, some of the whites, cream, some of the green, light green, and then the bottom tier is just foliage, all kinds of foliage. And this is how it looks, and a closer look at the final reveal. If you're on Instagram, this is my QR code that all you have to do is scan and follow me on there. I post on there Monday through Fridays. And the same for TikTok. Here's my QR code for TikTok. I do have a Pinterest. Here's my handle for Pinterest. I have a crafting group on Facebook. I invite you to come join us there. And now we're at the final reveal. Let me know what you guys think and which one is your favorite one. Well, I'd like to take a moment and say thank you for taking some time out of your busy day to watch my video. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed it, got something out of it, got some kind of idea or inspiration for your storage needs. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would absolutely appreciate it so very much. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you want to see more, definitely subscribe. And until my next video, stay healthy, safe, and strong, and have a great day. Bye-bye.